YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Yes, it's the Turbo Timber Evo. You're like, we thought that came out a long time ago. We did. We did a review on this forever ago. But then I just realized we never did a second thoughts on it. And so we're doing it now for good reason. Because this plane is sweet and we almost never talk about it because we've been so busy. If you haven't ever experienced a Turbo Timber Evo, get ready. 4S, 3200, huge flaps, leading edge slats, optional, reverse thrust, which just makes every plane more fun. Good LEDs, good reverse capability, by the way. Okay. This plane is just a joy to fly. Look how quick it gets off the ground. That wasn't even pushing, that was about 30% throttle. That's about 25% throttle there. Takeoff flaps kicking in. Look at the tight quarters you can do with this thing. I'm not even pushing it. Real light wind right now. So people ask all the time, which Timber do you like best? And my answer is always the same. It's the Turbo Timber Evo. Or the original Timber. I really like the original Timber too. The reason I like this better is because the longer wingspan makes it a little bit less crazy. And I'm just not a huge 3D fan. So the thing is, if I can fly a general aviation-esque plane, I don't necessarily want to always fly at 3D. And I feel like the capabilities of the Timber X and the Night Timber X are just insane. I just think this one looks better. I think it flies better. I think it's a heck of a lot less touchy and pitch sensitive. And these are things that you need when you're doing 3D. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. But then as you can see, look at that. That's like a 10-foot landing.
Yeah.
And let's just show you how quick you can get off the ground. Okay, so the wind, show them the windsock real quick, just so you can see there's not much wind involved here. Let's do grass ops too. Good clearance, okay? From dead still, I'm gonna make sure the prop's not even turning. Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. Full up elevator, there it is. And straight up. Guys, incredible performance. So if you guys are looking for something that's fun, that's gonna live up to your expectations, the Turbo Timber Evo is definitely one of them. Now, one thing I can tell you about this plane is that some people in the warmer climates, I guess, have had problems with the ESC being positioned where it is. So I know they put out a technical bulletin on it. So there might be a revision that's sitting in a local hobby shop somewhere that you've got to move the ESC forward a little bit. So just check that in your plane. Hey, back a little bit there. Good job, thank you. We got manned aircraft somewhere, I can't find it. I'll just stay super low for a minute. If they fly below our trees, they're pretty much screwed anyway, right?
Probably a problem. Oh, he's on the other side
Oh,
of the
he's
house,
way up there.
out
Okay. Excuse me, guys. Look how sweet that looks up against the trees. Oh, I love going through that hole. Cornhole.
I've seen several comments of people asking how to do a cornhole. I'm gonna explain it again.
Well, I wonder if we could do a cornhole shot where you can see the sticks and the plane in the same shot.
Ooh.
If you go behind me, I'll try to do it up here. I'll just circle. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into a holding pattern here.
Okay.
50% throttle, full throttle, heading up, sticks, okay? That's one way. And then what I do is I usually alternate. But the way I enter is full throttle up and then sticks in. And then I can chop the throttle and do different things and then turn safe on if you get lost and just let safe take it. Now this plane does come equipped with safe select. So as you can see, with safe on, it limits your bank angles and all this. When you let go of the sticks, it levels out, okay? That's really helpful for beginner plane, for people that are new to flying radio controlled airplanes. Because when you're new to flying airplanes, you don't realize that you have to level the plane. You just kind of think, oh yeah, when I let go, it'll just keep going. Nope, it'll go straight into the ground. That's what'll happen. Look how sweet that looks. That stops so fast. Okay, so we're 1 minute 35, 34 away from our original timer, and I didn't pay close attention. Was that 7 minutes?
Probably, because we're at 6 minutes right now of
Let's see what my telemetry says. My telemetry tells me that we have 3.88 on each sail. So we're gonna continue flying. Okay, so we already did grass ops. Let's do a takeoff this way from pavement, okay? Full stop, no cheating. Okay, ready? Full power. Ooh, it took a little longer. That's surprising. So the reason I like this plane better is I just feel like the roll authority is so much more appropriate for the size of plane. And the pitchiness is definitely not a factor. Plus, top loading battery. That was one of the biggest improvements that this plane has ever got. That should have never been an improvement necessary, but it was. So as a result, I don't know if it was from like listening to a bunch of people complain, but Horizon decided to change their setup and have it a top load, especially with a watercraft, because you can fly this with floats. It's actually a great plane for flying with floats.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's full throttle for this whole pass. Even with all the loading, it's doing great. Okay, out of the throttle. I don't want to puff my pack. Out of the throttle here on this pass. Okay, full landing flaps. See how much more sluggish it is in your cornhole when you've got the full flaps on? Okay, full landing flaps. We're just gonna bring it in here. Oh, some people asked what thrust reverse would do if you were mid-flight. Wonder if we should try that on this plane. Well, there's in the air about 2 inches, so you can see it's not a big deal. But what we'll do is we'll take off and we'll do a pass. We'll do a pass. Actually, we'll take off with the wind. The wind's kind of died down, so we can take off this way. Actually, let's do no flap takeoff. Nice dragged out. And then in. Okay, thrust reverse. Okay, out of thrust reverse. Notice it took some time, right? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to come up here and get a little more altitude. And I want to show you what it looks like going downhill. Thrust reverse. It gets a little weird.
It does.
Take off flaps, landing flaps. Oh, almost helicopter landed it. So as you can see, the thrust reverse, it's a fun tool. It's definitely not a necessity on this plane, but if you're doing water ops, you're gonna love having it. And one of the things I love most about thrust reverse is it turns a 50-foot long runway into a 150-foot runway. It just expands your capabilities. Now that being said, you always have the aerodynamic limitations of any airplane you're flying, so you just kind of gotta get used to that, okay? Let's do some more grass ops here just to show people. This is gonna be one of the best planes for flying off of grass. Big tires, Soft enough to do the job, but not crazy squishy. It'd be cool if they were pneumatic, but they're just so much heavier. Off the runway there, camera crew. Thank you. Usually when you see that tip to one side and then the tip to the other, it means it's because you're about to crash. So it's fun when you can do it on purpose. Full landing flaps gives you a little extra elevator authority. Whoops. So I just love the way this plane flies. It's always been one of my favorite flying planes, especially being that it's a bind and fly. It's just super simple to get up in the air with this thing. And look at your wide flight envelope. Look how slow we're going, guys. That's incredible. I'm right at about 30% elevator, about 15 to 20% throttle there. Nice tight holding pattern. Most planes would have bit me by now. See that? That's our stall. Did you see the stall? How weak that was? It was nothing. All I did was give it about 5% extra throttle to recover. Like I said, most planes would have been gone and dead by now. Well, that was kind of scary. It went to my low voltage warning when I was upside down flying toward us. I think I have to land. Okay, so the thrust reverse on that last one didn't work. Couple notes. When you're using thrust reverse, you need to reserve a little bit more power if you need it to land. Because if it doesn't kick on until you're halfway down your runway, it's not very helpful. And secondly, try not to be upside down doing stupid things when your battery's almost out. Try the stupid things first in your flight.
Right.
And then do your conservative things like at the end when you can easily land. So these are things I've learned the hard way. So if you're curious about how to set that up, we showed how to switch. Originally in the unbox build radio setup, we set our thrust reverse here and we moved it over to switch G, which is where we set up our thrust reverse all the time now. And I think we also made a reassignment here because originally, I believe we set that up on the NX6. Now we're on the NX8. So when we carried it over, it did not carry over our safe select setting because that was a switch assignment with the sticks and the switching. That's not the way we do it anymore. We do it through forward programming. So if you're curious how to do that, that'll be at the very end of this video. So we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to buy this stuff from the links if you like these planes. That's how we fund our channel. If you don't want to do that, or if you don't like this plane, you want to buy something else, we have tons of links down below. Or check out brianphillipsrc.com and you can see links to all sorts of planes. We literally have thousands of videos on YouTube, so we understand it might be kind of hard for you guys to find what you're looking for, but it'll be a little easier on brianphillipsrc.com. And then finally, Patreon and PayPal are available if you want to support us in that way. But really the best thing you can do right now is smash the like button, help support us in YouTube that way, and come back and watch more. Click the bell, notifications. It's going to let you know because we're releasing so much new content here on Brian Phillips RC that we don't want you to miss out. So thanks for watching. So much more. All right, guys. So real quick, I just wanted to share this with you. I know it's coming after the flight, but if you're following along the series on the Turbo Timber Evo, our unbox build and radio setup included how to set up thrust reverse. And originally I had set it up on the A switch, which I have migrated over to using what's called the G switch over here because it works, and I have my throttle cut, and then I have thrust reverse, and then when I do pilot fatigue, I set it there. So I'm getting in the habit of changing any planes that at one point I had put on the A switch because it was such a new thing, and there's no retracts on this plane. We typically use this for retracts. I've been moving them over to the G switch when possible and when necessary. So in that case, camera crew is going to come around and I'll show you. We'll just demonstrate it real quick. Okay, throttle cut is off. We'll go ahead and give this a little bit of throttle. Okay, so as you can see, it's trying to walk away from us. Now I'm going to put thrust reverse on, and then it's going to run backward, okay? So I'm going to put that back to normal, throttle cut. So how do we figure out how to do that? Obviously with the Avian ESC, you make an assignment on which channel is going to command the direction of travel on the motor. So what you can do is you can just walk over to monitor mode if you've already got a plane set up, and you can just toggle the switch that you have set up. So in this case, it's auxiliary 2, which should be channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's expressed in terms of channels 1 through X, in our case, on the avian receiver, or avian ESCs. So throttle cuts on, always do this stuff with throttle cut on just to be safe. Okay, so then we're gonna go into, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to do it. You can do it a couple of different ways. You can go to System Setup, Disconnect RF, and go down to Channel Assign. That's probably the easiest way to do it. You can make your assignment to switch G from switch A. That's one way to do it. Okay, now watch what's gonna happen when we walk out. So throttle cut is still on. Okay, we're gonna just make sure we test everything. Okay, we got forward throttle. See, nothing changes now. Okay, so now when I go forward throttle, reverse throttle, and reverse throttle, okay? So throttle cuts on. I have everything set up the way I like it. Okay. So that's actually reverse throttle. That's also reverse throttle, and that's forward throttle. So ordinarily I would want this to be forward throttle, so I can do this two different ways. I can either reverse the channel for auxiliary 2, so that when the switch is forward, I have forward thrust, and when the switch is pulled back toward me, I have reverse thrust. Or I can go into digital switch setup. Digital switch setup gives you the opportunity to set all the different settings. So I'm gonna select switch G. So in this setting, I want it to be -100. So I'll go from here and scroll all the way back to -100. Okay, and in our case, -100 just tells the ESC to go that way. And then on this, it could be 0 or +100. I want to lock it all the way into the +100 position. I don't want it to be ambiguous at all. And then this one I'm going to set to +100 as well. Now you could also tie in an audio event if you wanted, so it would say like forward or reverse or something like this, but I usually don't bother. Okay, so now you're done. Okay, so now throttle cuts off with the switch all the way forward. Excuse me, throttle cuts off with the switch all the way forward. Okay, so I just realized I think I may have already reversed my servo on aux 2. So I had it like this and I just switched it down. And I think that's why I was having trouble just now. Throttle cuts off in the forward position. It blows at us. In the middle position, controllable reverse thrust. And then all the way back, also controllable reverse thrust. Now, if you haven't seen any of our videos with pilot fatigue setting, the pilot fatigue setting is explained really good on the F-16 80mm thrust reverse setup. Pilot fatigue, just when you're coming to land a plane, it's very unnatural to give throttle when you're actually putting down on the ground. It just doesn't make sense in my brain. So what I did was I came up with a setting where when you pull it all the way back, it just goes full throttle no matter what on this switch setting, notwithstanding throttle cut. If throttle cut's on, that stops it. But if you're in this setting, then you have controllable reverse thrust. Okay, so it's just however much amplitude you command, it goes. And then of course there's regular thrust, which is, you know, forward thrust. And of course throttle cut will also prevent that. The reason we don't do pilot fatigue setting on this plane is because it is a prop driven plane. We also find that EDF jets are the planes that benefit the most from the pilot fatigue setting because they're the most complicated to land, in my opinion, so far, in my experience. That's not to say that some of these planes don't take a little extra skill to land. This is definitely not one that takes a ton of skill to land because it is such a slow landing plane. You can land this thing almost anywhere doing anything. So the thrust reverse is really I would say it's more of a function for on water. Because if you have floats on this plane, you can back up out of the weeds and, you know, get away from, if you come into the shoreline, there's always crap next to the edge. If it's a dirty pond, then you can back away from that debris, and the thrust reverse really helps. Plus, if your water rudder isn't working well, you can depend on airflow across your rudder. So it's really nice. But anyway, so at the end of the day, all you need to do is just make sure that whatever condition you set your switch to, it agrees with what you're expecting. That is the critical part that I wanted to make clear in this video. Also, because we freed up switch A, I can set my safe assignments over here if I wanted to. So as a result, I'm just gonna show you how I quickly identify if safe is on. Elevator up, because it's a big throw. Okay, I don't see any movement, okay? So I wonder if I never even assigned it. So what we're gonna do is, one thing I've noticed is that if you ever carry a model over from like an NX6 to an NX8, which I believe is what happened to us in this case, some of the settings, if you did the toggle with the sticks down and in or down and out or whatever it was to assign safe, that assignment doesn't always carry over to the new transmitter. So you have to go into forward programming on the new transmitter to make the assignment. So let's see if this is gonna work. First, I wanna go to monitor. I wanna go to monitor mode. And then I wanna see what this is assigned to. See, there's no activity yet, okay? There is activity on the gear switch. It looks like I assigned D to the gear switch. That's kind of weird. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the system setup, disconnect RF, and I'm gonna go to channel assign. And then I'm gonna go, gear is on, let's just set it back to A, okay? So now when I go over to this, there is a change of state. So elevator, no change, okay, good. So then I can go into forward programming, gyro settings, safe select. Okay, so don't be confused. It says safe and it says safe select. Safe select is the larger system. Safe is on or off within safe select. In order for safe select to work, safe select has to be on. Then you can turn off the feature called safe. Okay, so it's a little confusing the way they do this. So you can see flight mode 3 is being commanded evidently by switch A in this case. So it's set to gear, okay? And if you wanted to do 3 modes, you could set it to switch D, it would be fine. I just personally have a harder time getting to this switch, okay? So I'm gonna turn this to on, okay? So there's 1, and safe would be on in this condition, and safe select is still on. Now when I put that switch forward like this, which is my normal setting, AS3X would be on, but safe would be off. And you'll note that safe select is still on. Okay, so that's been assigned. So now we'll walk out of the menu. We're gonna go ahead and test things now. First of all, elevator up, elevator down, roll left, roll right. You can come back over here. Yaw left, yaw right. Now watch this, elevator up. See how much less play there is with safe on, safe off. Okay, now watch the aileron. See this? When safe is on, you can plan on there being less deflection, okay? Rudder, see, less. So what's the rule of thumb? If you're not sure, double, triple, quadruple check, whatever it is. And if this is a plug and fly plane that you're setting up, always check your ailerons. It gets people all the time. If you have your ailerons reversed, it's very hard to tell. This is the most fail-safe way to test if a plane has safe on, is to flip the plane upside down and turn safe on. It's gonna try to level the plane. So you see this one's going this way, which is gonna rotate it that way, and it's gonna rotate this way, okay? Until it gets into a level attitude, at which point they're gonna be level, okay? The other thing you can look at is you can look at the elevator. So on the pitch axis, you see the elevator's pointed up as much as it will until it's level. And then it's gonna start pointing down. And the whole idea is to bring this plane level and true so that you can get back into control and you'll be a nice flat level flight. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Obviously with safe and AS3X and all this different new stuff that you may not be familiar with. It takes a lot of getting used to, and that's what we do here on Brian Phillips RC, is we help you guys figure out how to use one of the most expensive tools that you're gonna have in your tool bag, which is gonna be something like this or something like it, NX6, NX8, NX10, at some point, maybe the IX lineup, maybe in our future, but for now, this has been great. I literally have over 100 planes in it, and it is amazing. So if you're just coming back to fixed wing aircraft after a 20-year hiatus, you're gonna have a lot to catch up on, but don't worry. We'll help get you from where you are to where you wanna be. We'll help answer questions. And what I would encourage you to do is watch a few of the unbox, build, and radio setup videos to get used to what's going on. The bind and fly, meaning you buy your transmitter and you use it for a bunch of different planes now. You don't have crystal sets or anything like that, like we used to in the olden days. You power it up with a battery, and then you assign it to this, communicate between these two things. We'll show you how to do that. That's called binding. And then once it's bound up, you fly, you enjoy it, you take out your battery, you charge your batteries, you put in a battery in another plane, and you just select it in your model memory. And then you fly that same plane, 2 weeks later, you just pull that one back up. It's super easy. It's huge. If nobody's explained it to you yet, it's because the people that make these things assume that you know everything, and we know that you don't. Because when we started this, we didn't know everything, and it took us a long time to figure out a lot of these things the hard way. So that's what we do here on Brian Phillips RC. So hopefully this little short tutorial will help get you from where you are now to where you wanted to be. And obviously, if you want to buy this beautiful Turbo Timber Evo, check out the links in the video description below. That is how we fund our channel predominantly, is by selling this sort of thing to you guys. And what we do is we bring to you a variety of different manufacturers, brands, distributors, hobby shops, all these different companies that work with us now. We bring you choices, and we try to be unbiased about it with the understanding that when you buy this, we get commissions from them. So it's great. You don't pay any extra. It funds the channel, so all this good content comes to you for free. But at the end of the day, we're able to fund the channel in that regard. So it really works out good. But if you refuse to go that direction, we understand some of you guys aren't into that, and you just want to, go your own route, or maybe you've got a really good relationship at your local hobby shop and you want to still support us. We've got Patreon and PayPal available. Patreon, of course, is monthly, and then PayPal is a one-time thing. Fee structure is the lowest on PayPal, just so you know. And then, of course, we love it when you guys smash the like button. Obviously, that helps YouTube to think that we're not just losers and you hate us. But if you hate us, also like the video, because then you'll see more of it, and that'll be great, because you can feel better about yourselves.
You'll grow to love us eventually.
Eventually, you'll help us. So we appreciate that. And if you have comments or questions, leave them down in the comments below. We try to get to them. Sometimes we get a little backlog, so please be patient with us, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them that I need to reply from the last 2 weeks. I'll try my best, but we do our best to reply.
And they can check out www.brianphillipsrc.com.
BrianPhillipsRC.
Yes.
.com.
And if you see a broken link, if you're going through
Yes.
a video
Let us
or
know.
on the website, will you please let us know, leave a comment, and we'll see it, or I'll see it at some point. That's really helpful.
That's how we fix what's broke.
Yep. Because we can't go through and check every single thing, but if you guys see them, I will go through and fix it and reply to your comment.
Yes. So anyway,
Helps us.
this is a cool plane. It's great. It's one of the best ones out there. If you're looking for something to get as a beginner, maybe it's your second or third plane, this would be a great plane. Would I start here? I wouldn't suggest you start here, but you could pick a lot worse planes to start with. I just think this plane is more capable than the average beginner can handle. And so you're going to end up crashing it, and you're going to be distraught, and you're going to be crying lots. And you'll go home and you'll be all depressed, and you'll just go and click order, and so we try to help you with that too here on Brian Phillips RC. We don't want you to get the wrong plane for the wrong stage that you're in as a pilot. If you're a brand new pilot and you can handle the turbo timber, you would not be in the extreme minority, but you would be in the minority. Most people are not going to be able to handle this plane right out of the gates. But it can be made to be fairly tame with safe select and a little bit of expo and dual rates. So you can really get this thing to fly like a beginner plane, but then you can grow into it. My experience, however, has been that no matter what plane you get for the first plane, you're going to destroy it. So just plan on getting something simple that you can beat that death and then beat it to death. Fix it a million times. And then once it weighs more with hot glue and CA than the plane originally weighed, then you buy the next plane and you'll be like, wow, this is so much nicer. And believe me, it's not gonna be like that for your whole flying career. You get a couple years through and every plane will not be crashed. I promise. Maybe. I tend to crash things. So anyway, that's all you get for tonight. Sorry for the hoarse voice. It happens. Stay tuned. So much more coming from Brian Phillips, RC.